Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Your Lounge. It's great to have you back here. And yes, Your Lounge, if you haven't heard, is a place for women in business to get together, encourage one another, grow together, both personally and professionally. And yeah, just supporting one another. It's the study after study shows that women who support women are more successful in their ventures. So, and it's so true. I know as women, you would absolutely agree. So it's a great space. So welcome in, and we are broadcasting these little chats that we're having in the Latte Lounge live just at the moment. So you are getting the if you're not part of Your Lounge, you are getting the special treat of getting to hear these, but that's going to stop soon. So you need to come into Your Lounge where you can get access to all of this. So the link is there below, and we'll pop it in the chat as well. So today we are having a chat. We're talking about mastering the art of gut health, and what's that got to do with business? And and elevating our business with that as well. So a really, really interesting topic. So we have Health and Vitality Month in Your Lounge this month. Next month will be a different topic around business as well. So, but we are talking about health and vitality and how it just connects to us being in business, and what we can do about it as well, strategies to help us. So I would love to introduce Esha Dwight today. So we're talking to Esha. She is an incredible lady who I have met a couple of years ago, and she's an absolute expert in this area of gut health. So just a little bit about Esha. She's a naturopathic practitioner, and she has been for over 35 years, helping people with long-term wellness. She actually, I meant to tell Esha this. This is an amazing story. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's when you hear her story, it's actually very, very meaningful. So after she lost her mother to a preventable lifestyle disease, she was only 10 years old. Esha made it her mission to prevent other children actually from losing their parents. So I just think that's such an incredible mission that she's on. And she specialized in the connection of between gut health, excess body fat, and disease, and built a network of integrated clinics across Australia and New Zealand. So she's helped thousands of people to come off disease paths and onto a healthy life. So understanding the limitations of traditional business, she brought her knowledge and experience online to develop the LTLA system, which she has helped countless people all over the world transform their health and do it affordably, quickly, and in a truly life-changing way. So I'd love to welcome Esha into the studio today to have a little chat with her, and I know you're going to love it. Hi, Esha. Welcome.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me on.
No problem. It's such a pleasure. And just want to thank you so much for your time. You're such a busy lady. You're actually traveling around I was going to say around the world, but around Australia at the moment, working and traveling.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the van. This is about it that we're living in. So
actually, it looks like a really nice van that you have. I mean, you'd want to be traveling for like 2 years.
Yes. So we're on the road for a couple of years. It is a nice van. We've got the ensuite and everything there. It's like a mini office, which is absolutely brilliant. So different view every day.
Yeah, that's so good. Amazing. Yeah, so there's a lot of talk about gut health, Esha, as you would know. And I think some people maybe don't quite understand what that is fully. But also the importance of it and how it might, connect to us as busy women in business and just, leading very full lives. So, yeah, if you can explain to us a little bit about what gut health is, maybe that would be awesome.
Yes. Look, how long do we have?
Yeah, it's a big topic.
It's a huge topic. And I suppose I would start by going back 2,500 years ago when Hippocrates said all disease begins in the gut. And It's so true. You know, after 25, I've been in the industry 35 odd years, but after 25 years of clinical experience working with people, you know, in the coalface, one-on-one, and with other practitioners, everything stems from the gut. Everything.
Yeah.
So it's like a ringmaster, so it controls all of the major organs, the brain, the skin, the hormonal system. You know, there's a gut heart relationship, there's a gut kidney relationship, there's a gut pain relationship. So the gut, basically, a lot of people don't really know where the gut is. You know, we often think of the gut microbiome, but we don't really understand it. So it's basically from the mouth all the way to the colon. So it's the entry, exit system.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
So there's a lot of organs in the middle of the gut, but also there's a lot of pathogens, there's a lot of viruses, there's a lot of cells, bacteria, fungus. So there's trillions of organisms. In fact, scientists say there's more cells, there's more bacterial genomes than there is our own human DNA. So we're half bacteria. So when we start to talk about gut health, most people don't realise the absolute importance of making sure that our gut as an organ is functioning really well. And that's really what my mission is, to help people understand that.
Yeah, definitely. And how it connects to everything. So what would be like some of the symptoms then that, you know, people would see?
It's so diverse. Yeah.
I guess as women in business, what would be some that they might be thinking about or experiencing, being, you know, living such a busy life and juggling, you know, all sorts of things?
Yeah, and you know, the problem with us women in business, usually we get to our, you know, 35, 40s, 50s, which really in the scheme of things is our perimenopausal years. So that's usually at the height of our career. We're having our babies, our children are starting to get a little bit older, our careers are taking off, our business is taking off, our mortgage is increasing, you know, the stresses of life is increasing. And that's the period of time where most women experience that gut dysfunction, and it can start off just with some hormonal problems. Maybe they have period issues, too much, you know, period pain. Maybe there's some digestive issues. They eat foods and they have indigestion or heartburn, you know, that griping pain that they get in their chest. It can be just bloating, distension, you know, you just don't feel right in your tummy, constipation, you know, alternating constipation, diarrhea, but mood. So depression or anxiety, that's all related to the gut as well. Not to mention, you know, a myriad of hormonal issues and mental health. Let's not forget mental health. Low moods, anxiety, just not feeling right mentally, you know, knowing that you should be different, you know, maybe having an awareness of how you were when you were younger, but now there's just something not right. So all of those are symptoms. To the more advanced, we've got autoimmune diseases, cognitive problems, Alzheimer's, dementia, certain forms of cancer. All of these things can be directly related to the gut. It's actually quite frightening.
It is, and obviously that's a passion of yours, like really preventing those diseases, right? Like based on your background and
absolutely, it's all about prevention. You know, you summed it up really well. I lost my mother when I was 10, and I woke up. I had a childhood traumatic amnesia, and I woke up when I was 12, and I actually realised what I wanted to do. So I was one of those unusual people that knew my calling in life, and literally from that 12 to 16 year period before I could really go on and do any formal studies, I was just researching then. But what I've done all of my life is that I've drawn the correlation between the gut, excess body fat, and disease. And I'm relentless in my pursuit of knowledge, evidence-based knowledge, to actually help people understand, okay, these are my signs and symptoms. Let's get onto that now before we end up with a disease state. because a lot of people don't realize there's all of these signs and symptoms, all of the things I mentioned, the bloating, you know, the hormonal issues, all of those things, they're the signs and symptoms. And if we don't get on top of those, it can lead to dysfunction and disease.
Yes.
So
yeah.
That's why the gut is so vitally, you know, it's so important to actually have an understanding of where it is and what it does, and all of the simple things that we can do to help with gut health.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's really, really important. And I think sometimes we can blame, you know, our situation we're in or our external circumstances, you know, why we're tired, why we don't have the energy today that I normally have. I mean, of course, we all have those days, but I suppose it's looking at, you know, is that an ongoing thing that's happening for more than just a day here and there? And relying a little bit too much on the coffee and and things like that. And you know, we're all probably, I know I can definitely relate to that. Like, you know, you have those times, but it's it's just about I guess getting on top of it so that it doesn't become something bigger. And
it is. It's just understanding. It's just having an awareness, and it all starts with that awareness. And it just takes one person to say something. Oh, you know, think about the gut that leads you on this path of discovery. You know, all of a sudden you start meeting new people. All of a sudden you start joining new groups. All of a sudden there's another world that opens up. But you've nailed it there. We need to address the symptoms, because we do rely too much on having that quick fix of caffeine to, you know, boost our energy level. But the problem with caffeine, and I'm not anti-caffeine, but I know enough about it to realize that for us busy women, it's going to cause us problems, especially if we're in the perimenopausal state, because it's going to be a driver as we go through that process of a lot of menopausal symptoms. So caffeine, it speeds the metabolism up. It, you know, it gives us that false energy. It makes us work a lot harder when the body, you know, we need to be paying attention to our body and realizing that, okay, I don't need the caffeine. What do I need? You know, I need, probably I'm getting a bit nutrient deficient, or maybe my diet hasn't been right. Maybe this, that, and the other. So yeah, it's more about the awareness, less of the reliance on the alcohol to sort of act as the therapy to calm us down after a busy day at work, or less of the reliance on the caffeine that acts as that artificial stimulant and then can drive a lot of our, you know, perimenopausal symptoms, affect our sleep, you know, affect our mental clarity. We think it gives us mental clarity, but it actually doesn't. It does the reverse.
Yeah. I think sometimes too, like it's like until we've seen the other side, like I know I've been three times in my life where, you know, I didn't know any different, but then when you do know different, so I've actually, you know, done one of the programs that Esha promotes and works with, but when you know the difference, I mean, it's actually life changing, like really. And it doesn't really matter, I guess, what program anyone chooses to necessarily do, but it's about, just that healing and just that energy and that clarity, like the confidence as well that comes from feeling so much different, like a new person. So really important in business.
Absolutely, it is. And we were discussing that earlier. Like, if you're front of house, what attracts people to you? You know, really, what attracts, and yes, it's the words and all of the things that you're talking about, but we live in a little bit of a shallow society. So it is about how we present, our energy that we have, you know, that mental clarity in what we're saying. These are all the things as business women that, you know, that's the fundamental. You know, we all know our story. We all know our business. We all know, you know, how to help people. But if we're not helping ourselves, we're not going to emit that energy. And that's so vital in business. That's why it's so important that we've got to keep our energy levels up. We've got to keep our skin good. We've got to keep our, you know, vitality and you know, wellness up, because we're the front of what we do in business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we feel it when that starts to drag. So, and so, what do you think, Esha? Like, what would be some ideas or strategies that you could suggest that people can, maybe turn to for, managing their stress, managing their day-to-day busy lives, but also, some healing having some healing and some, gut repair happening. What would be some ideas people could easily implement?
Oh, look, there's lots, but if we narrow it down to like 4 or 5, the first thing is the food that we're consuming. That's number one. We are what we eat. And the gut, it acts like an air filter in the car. It allows the really good things in, and it blocks out what we don't want to actually go into our bloodstream, into our system. Now, if that air filter starts to get clogged up, if that air filter has, a lot of weight bearing down with it, it won't work. It just doesn't work well. So the same applies to the foods that we eat. So when it comes to foods, there's 2 major allergens that aggravate the gut lining.
Sorry, Esha. I'll just say, when I learnt that from you about I remember hearing that a couple of years ago about the filter. That's huge. That was a massive thing for me because I didn't really understand, but that made so much sense. So we're trying to, that's such a big thing, isn't it? Of understanding the gut. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It acts as a barrier. Like oh, definitely. It acts as a barrier, and foods will feed it and seep through. And there's foods such as gluten, such as wheat. In a healthy individual, we only need to have wheat, gluten, bread, pasta, anything that contains gluten as a one-off meal. And for 3 days after, we'll have an inflammatory response.
Wow.
Similar, yeah, I know. Similar to dairy as well. If we're not drinking A2 milk, then that can aggravate the gut lining. Certain medications aggravate the gut lining. You only need 1 course of antibiotics and it wipes out all of your good bacteria. It actually wipes out everything. And a lot of studies are now coming through that show that sometimes when you take an antibiotic course, the damage is you can't go back. You can never get the strains of bacteria back into the gut. So we do have to be careful. Medications save lives as well, but obviously, we all know that we live in a healthcare system where a lot of medications are overprescribed. Chemicals that we use in our bathroom, in the kitchen, in the laundry. Chemicals can actually have a negative impact on the gut as well. So all of these things can actually seep through the gut lining, hits the bloodstream. Once it hits the bloodstream, the body incites this immune response, which once again, that leads into the symptoms that we've spoken about, autoimmune diseases or basic symptoms like period issues, hormonal issues, bloating, those types of problems. So foods have to be addressed first. Really, really important. You are what you eat. So getting onto an anti-inflammatory diet, which is really simple. It's just removing the inflammatory foods from your diet, such as gluten. We've got so many different alternatives to gluten these days, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
We don't need to eat
and
gluten.
Really, I guess sticking to more basic, whole foods, really.
Absolutely, definitely. And the great thing about the whole health movement is that we can still get they look like processed foods, so quick foods, quick fixes when we're on the go, that are really, really healthy as well. So you just need to know how. You just need to understand what is an inflammatory food, what is a anti-inflammatory food, and you just need to have more of those foods in your household than you do, the other fast takeaway foods, processed foods. The next thing is stress. We've got to get stress under control. Stress is a killer. On the seminars that I'm doing at the moment, you only have to have one stressful episode, one traumatic episode, and you wipe out your magnesium stores. Now, when you wipe out your magnesium stores, you're going to actually affect the gut as well. So when you're low in magnesium, you're going to be more stressed, you're going to have more anxiety, you're going to be more tired. So we need to think of this holistically and think, okay, we know that stress is a killer. We know that. Also, studies show that you can have a traumatic incident, and I speak from first-hand experience here. My father took his life a few years back, and it was literally a year following that I had a diagnosis. So studies will show that you can have a very traumatic incident, and then the following year, 12 months later, there's some biochemical process going on in the body that can lead you towards disease. It's absolutely fascinating. So stress is a big one, and learning any technique that resonates with you. I love breathing. I love breath work. You know, when I'm uptight, just breathe. Just take some deep breaths. Just breathe. You know, you can do that in bed in the morning before you get out of bed. You can do it at night. You can do it during those stressful pockets in the boardroom or with team meetings, or, you know, you can
do it all together, couldn't we? Like a team breath session.
Absolutely. So there's breath work, there's yoga, there's Pilates, but I love things that people can do at home, especially us busy business women. We need to fit this in the pockets of our time. I'd love it for every woman to say, well, I've got an hour a day, I'm dedicating an hour a day to myself, and I'm going to eat well every other part of that day, but that hour I'm going to exercise, I'm going to do my breath work, yoga. But let's face it, it doesn't happen. So we've got to find those micro minutes in our day that we can actually take a moment and just allow our body to relax, and then get into the next meeting, get into the next activity, job. So stress is a huge one. And when I say stress, though, it's not just about the breathing and the yoga and the exercise. This is about correcting the deficiencies that actually link to stress as well, and that's magnesium, B12, the things that I've just spoken to. Supplement, obviously, I'm a naturopathic practitioner. My life has revolved around correcting nutritional deficiencies as a foundation. If we don't do that, we cannot get the nutrients from our foods anymore. And it's a fact.
It's just everywhere, isn't it? The nutrient deficiencies now. Like, I mean, it's huge. Yeah,
it is. Our soils are nutritionally deficient, and then the animals that eat our soils, or the vegetables that are grown in the soils, don't contain the nutrients. So it's actually, when you start to think about it, it's a no-brainer to think, okay, we can, if I'm stressed, if my gut's not functioning right and not absorbing nutrients, because that's another thing that the gut does, it absorbs our nutrients. If our soils are depleted in nutrients, we're going to run the risk of becoming nutritionally deficient, which is going to exacerbate everything for us. We'll get low in iron, we'll get low in magnesium, we'll get low in selenium. Selenium's linked to a lot of major diseases. Vitamin D is a big one.
Yes, that's become quite huge. And I guess it's still important to eat all those foods, right? But it's we obviously get still a lot from the food, but it's just not enough in a lot of instances. Yeah.
No, and you raised a really good point. I'm so glad you said that, because we from our food the macronutrients. We get our proteins, and we get our carbohydrates, and we get our fruits and vegetables and our fats. That's how I want everybody, and especially us busy business women, I want us thinking that way, that when we eat, we're going to get our macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. We're not necessarily getting the nutrients that we need. And that's where supplementation comes in, and targeted supplementation. I'm not just saying you go out and take everything. You target the supplementation to the individual. So if we think about, okay, I'm going to eat the foods here, and I'm going to put them in the correct ratios, and there's a bit of a formula, but it's half protein, half carb at the end of the day. That's a really good way to think about it with every meal. But if I can supplement to top up those nutrients, then you're going to tick the box for nutrients and the macronutrient intake.
Yeah, wow. And what's the best way for people to test that? Like, what maybe they're deficient in? What would be a good, way to do that for people?
I would love to go as far as saying that just go by the way you feel. But if we go by the way we feel and then we go to the doctor and the doctor does the pathology tests and the pathologists come back and they say, no, look, everything's fine because of our reference ranges. That's probably another talk that we could do one day, just talking about our reference ranges on our pathology reports. You go away from the clinic thinking, oh, well, hold on a moment, I don't feel good, but my pathology tests are coming back all normal. So I would love to go by, I'd love for, us busy women to say, okay, I'm low in energy, maybe I'm low in iron, maybe I'm low in magnesium or vitamin D. They're the three things that are essential for energy and moods, etc. But yeah, I think the things you've got to look for is your symptoms. That's first and foremost. Finding a doctor, integrated doctors are brilliant. They've just got that little bit extra time. Nothing against GPs, general practitioners, but integrated practitioners know how to read pathology tests. They know if a patient's getting towards the bottom end of the reference scale, and they'll then say, oh, you may have a subclinical deficiency. Let's top your vitamin D levels up. Let's top your iron levels up. The patient starts to do that, and usually they start to feel a lot better.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Let's get our pathology tests done. Let's get our pathology tests done. Sorry.
Yeah, and really on those pathology tests, maybe looking at, the range. Like if you're on that middle to bottom range of the range that it says you're okay, then supplement.
That's right. And we can do this. We can do this ourselves. We can get copies. Remember, we own our copies. And you can compare this time, the most recent pathology test to the previous one, and you'll be able to see them moving on that reference range. And if you're moving in the negative direction towards the bottom end, you can actually, it's about empowering ourselves, isn't it? We can actually think, maybe I can top up. You're not going to overdose. We don't overdose in vitamins and minerals in general.
No.
So you can't go wrong.
Yeah, awesome. So we need to focus on our foods, on our supplementing, and I guess some of those techniques, like you said, like breath work, and Pilates, yoga, movement in general, I guess. Really, really helps everything to work properly. And anything else you'd like to share? Any other quick insights or things that you think people might like to know? Or
look, I think just I think the last bit to that jigsaw was understanding. Well, it's about understanding the interplay of the jigsaw. And that's really what I do talk about at the seminars, that we need to have an understanding of how the gut works, which hopefully your listeners today have a little bit more insight into that. We need to understand also how weight impacts our well-being, and not just from aesthetics at all. This isn't about the way that we look. This is about what body fat does on the inside, and how the chemicals that are released from body fat can play havoc, not only with our mind, but also can play havoc with the gut. So it's understanding the missing pieces of the jigsaw, and that's gut health, it's weight loss, getting down to a good body composition, it's nutritional deficiencies like we spoke about, and of course it's just pulling all the resources together, and then then they all start to fit together. That gives you that holistic health that so many of us are wanting to achieve, that vibrant energy, that that's how we're meant to be functioning. However, living in the modern world, it's sometimes a little bit difficult, and we forget how we're meant to be functioning.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Sometimes simplifying our lives can be a good strategy too, can't it? Just simplifying things a little bit so we have the time to do these things and be more efficient in what we're actually doing. But look, it's been so lovely to chat with you. And I know you have like a program that you run, and you do all sorts of things. But what if people are interested, to learn more from you? What would you suggest would be the best way to get in touch with you? Would that be through your socials or?
Yeah, Facebook. I'm always on Facebook and Messenger, Instagram, but just maybe just look up Esha Dwight. But I'd love to add anybody. Contact you as well. You can add them into the LTLA group. We've got a Learn to Live Again group. That's a brilliant group for free resources. So in there is, you know, your anti-inflammatory food lists. It's got so much information, free information on weight and gut repair and nutritional deficiencies for the young as well as the old. So that's probably the best way to start the health journey.
Yes, that's brilliant. Absolutely. It's a great group. So yeah, very empowering. Always feel inspired. So good. Thank you so much, Esha, for joining us and you know, taking the time out of your travels. I know it's probably been a bit crazy getting from place to place and you know, fitting things in. It's so nice to chat with you, and we will definitely put those links in the chat for people so that they can contact you and get in touch. And yeah, if you haven't joined Your Lounge yet, then do that as well, and I'll pop that link in the chat as well. And yeah, we look forward to chatting again in a couple of days' time on the topic of mental health. And that will be amazing as well. So thanks, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Belinda. Take care.
Bye.